Good day.
Good day, my fellow lovers of wisdom. Our group was assigned to present two philosophers from the school of thought of rationalism. These famous philosophers are Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz and Baroque Espinosa. Their philosophy will be discussed so that it will help us to understand why these two philosophers are under the rationalism. So first, just a brief background about Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Change can. Okay, sige yan. And July 1st, 1646, he was born and died 14th of July, 1716, at the age of 70. He was known as the last universal genius because of his pivotal theories in metaphysical philosophy, logic, ethics, mathematics, as well as his philosophical writing on the problem of evil, truth, and free will and the nature of space and time. He also developed the notation for differential and integral calculus. Next, Ken. Okay, let's talk. Now, let's talk about the Leibniz rationalism. And the same with what we have tackled about Plato and Descartes, Leibniz also believed with the innate concept, an existing idea prior to sense experience. These innate ideas are already within us even during our birth. Some examples are being, unity, substance, change, duration, activity, pleasure, and perception. You might ask, why do I include perception if perception is always linked to empiricism? Just for example, if I will close my eyes, then I will realize that I'm not seeing anything. But when I open it, I am seeing something. So the idea of perceiving something, the empiricist will conclude that it is deriving from the experience. But according to Leibniz, that we know what we are doing, and definitely it is not coming from experience, but just because that idea is already built into us. So the idea is already in the idea of ourselves as a sensing, perceiving being. We already have that idea. And second, according to Leibniz, we can talk about ideas being in the mind into senses, the occurrent and dispositional. First, occurrent. It is the set of ideas which are actively functioning at the moment. So what I am discussing and thinking are all under it. Just for example, I am thinking of the concept of rationalism. I am thinking of our subject, comparative philosophy, the concept of comparative philosophy, concept of rationalism. These are all active ideas. Second is dispositional. It is the opposite of occurrence. It is the inactive, and that the concept of ideas are not being mobilized. Such as, for example, just let us imagine that I'm not thinking of the concept of online class, the concept of car, the concept of water bottle. It means that these concepts are all at rest and inactive and ready to use if in case, but the time that I'm thinking of it, then it will be immediately changed from dispositional to occurrent. That's all. Kind of it.
So the next topic about Gottfried Leibniz is the monadology. So Leibniz defines monadology is that in principle is that in principle all knowledge can be accessed by rational reflection. So from the word monad, it is a small unit.
Small unit that is, to put simply, it is a small unit.
So Leibniz holds that every part of the world, every individual thing, has a distinct concept or notion associated with it, and that every such notion contains within it everything that it's true about self itself, including its relations to other things. So um, Leibniz.
Leibniz was a rationalist. His distinction between truths and reasoning, truths of reasoning and truths of
Facts marks an interesting twist in the debate between rationalism and empiricism. So Gottfried Leibniz is different from others rationalism because his claim makes his claim that makes him famous is about this monadology, that um, all knowledge can be accessed by rational reflection. So uh,
Next is for Leibniz, the answer lies in the fact that the universe is composed of individual, simple substances called monads. So
this is why that um, the universe is consisted of small units, but those small units have different concepts. They are not connected with each other because, according to him, knowledge, there is an innate knowledge within persons that we don't need to.
to experience before we gain that knowledge, unlike John Locke.
And like the philosophy of John Locke, that um, human beings can gain knowledge by through experiencing, such as experiencing like seeing a car. So that's an example of philosophy of John Locke. So proceed. Leibniz claims that every human mind is a monad, and so
contains a complete representation of the universe. It is therefore possible in principle for us
to learn everything that there is to know about our world and beyond simply by exploring our own minds. So, in this last phrase, there is a problem that exists because, for me, the um, the philosophy of Gottfried Leibniz is has a what we call that.
loophole that um, it's because it is not really practical to
Just explore our own mind because sometimes we need to experience a thing before we know what it is. For example, um, the concept of the unicorn. So how can we know that unicorn exists if we don't experience what it looks like? What it looks like?
diba? So that's the loophole of claim of Leibniz.
That's why, for me, it is good to have analysis about the rationalism and also empiricism. So proceeding with the next topic about argument of contingency.
So once again, good evening, good morning, everyone. Also, good morning to our teacher. So another idea of Leibniz is the argument of contingency. Argument of contingency, it is it attempts to prove the existence of a necessary being and infer that this being is God. Leibniz states that why is there something rather than nothing? For he came to a conclusion that the explanation is found in God. Contingent being is any being that could have not existed. Another idea that I understand about these situations is that everything that exists has an explanation of existence. If the universe has an explanation of its existence, the explanation is God. The universe exists. The explanation of the universe existence is God, according to Leibniz's contingency of argument. Next to that is Leibniz said that so there must be at least one necessary thing, and that is God. That was my idea for, about the argument of contingency. Leibniz make a key distinction, and those are things that exist necessarily, for it says here that exist by necessity of their own nature. Also, it's impossible for them not to exist, and the things that exist contingently says that they are caused to exist by something else, for they don't have to exist. Last one, for it relies to a conclusion where Leibniz mentioned that it's logically possible that the whole universe might have existed, for it doesn't exist necessarily, it exists contingently. Furthermore, according to Leibniz contingent argument, indeed, in the universe there is curiosity, and though that curiosity about existence of the universe seems scientific and intuitive. Someone might say, if an individual person, if everything that exists needs an argument, and if this argument shows that the explanation for the existence of the universe can be found only in the existence of God. And that is the explanation of argument of contingency by Leibniz. Thank you.
So good day, everyone. We are now on the second rationalist philosopher, which is Baroque Espinosa. In his early life, he was born on November 24, 1632 in Amsterdam, and he died on February 21, 1677. He was also a Dutch Jewish philosopher, and in 17th century rationalism and one of the early seminal figures of the Enlightenment, and because of his works, he was a father of enlightenment and the last he last guardian medieval world. And his parents is Marano, and his grandfather Abraham was the acknowledged leader of the Jewish community. And also his father was a successful merchant and active in civic affairs. Next, Ken. Para pa. So, Benedict de Spinoza in Hebrew Baruch, in Latin Benedictus. Spinoza converted into Christianity. But also Spinoza he was a secretly praised Judaism because for him everything in the traditional liturgical calendar is pure superstition. And in fact, Spinoza did not declare himself an atheist, but he insisted that he remained as the stand defender of God. That's why God is play an important role in his work, which is ethics. So when he was in 18 or 19 years old, Spinoza and his brother went into business, selling tropical fruit. When he was a young, he considered as a standing student of the Talmud and religious scholar. And Spinoza's mother died when he was 6, and his father, one of his sister, died by the time he was in his early 20s. And 1656, Spinoza was expelled by his congregation on charges of atheism. And for the next 4 years, and for his life, he spent and worked as a teacher in a private academy in Amsterdam. Next.
Good morning, everyone. This time, we will be informed about the Spinoza's philosophy. The most important element of Spinoza's philosophy is his pantheism. As we know earlier in his background, the orientation of Spinoza was being attuned to the God, knowing that his parents and all his descendants was attuned to the Judaism belief. There were some point that he suspected as an atheist, but his contention was more on pantheism. It is a theory or the doctrine that reality comprises a single being, which is this is the God. In a religious concept, the essential immanence of God is in the creature. So the pantheism here is associate to the God into the creature or God into the nature, saying that God is the world and the world is God. And another one is he believed the world could only have one substance, and that is the God. This is the very strong contention of Spinoza's philosophy. That is, God is the cause of all things, which are all in him. Another is everything else was a modification of God. In this statement, Spinoza was something that is playing safe because the way he explained things all around us is being caused by God. If things was find difficult to him, he explains that it's all of this are the modification of God. So we can see that Spinoza is something playing safe the way he presents his philosophy. Next, there is no room for final causality in Spinoza's philosophy. In fact, there is no room for human free will because all things happen simply because God acts as his nature dictates. And everything that happens in the world can be explained by the efficient cause that is the causes that brought the event into being. It's what I said earlier. God is the cause of all things which are in him. We are again informed by these causes, which in the ancient philosopher or the ancient philosopher known as Aristotle, he introduced to us already this concept about cause, the formal cause, material cause, efficient cause, and the final cause. And here, there is no something different from how Spinoza presents his causes, but he, this time, integrated the concept of God, that the efficient cause can be connected to the God. Next, it is affirmed by the last statement that all efficient cause can be traced back to the divine nature, which is the God. The main philosophy of Spinoza was centered about the concept of God in itself. He also say that his concept about God is far different from the concept of Judeo-Christianity as what he was raised of, because he was known to be the follower of Judaism, knowing that he was expelled or because of his philosophy. And his contention about that is God does not exist alone before the creation, then bring into its existence. As we can see, he is so very critical, knowing deeply more about God, because in the concept of Judaism, the knowing only based on the Genesis, they seem appears to be that God exists only for the existence, and after that, nothing, none already. But he said on Spinoza that God exists not only before the creation, it is the intervention of God in all the substance and all the existence in the world. As what he said, that all that exists can be connected or associated to the concept of God. So, and as a summary, he means that all things find explanation in God. So, Spinoza's philosophy more focused on the concept of God, and all the things can be find explanation through God. That's all.
Okay, after knowing some personal information about this Jewish philosopher and some of his philosophies, now let us be more specific to some of the theories and ideas of Spinoza. As mentioned by the previous discussant, one of this is his idea of free will. According to the common definition, free will is the power of acting without the constraint of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion. So according to Christians believe that God gave humans free will. This is the ability for humans to make their own decisions. It means that although God made a world and it was good, it is up to humans whether they choose to do good or bad deeds. So, as Christians, we believe that God gave us this free will, that God Himself cannot touch or dictate it from us. But what if I tell you that Spinoza do not believe in the free will? So, here's the explanation. Next, please. The world, the universe, and everything is under the principle of causality. Causality is everywhere. Everything is an effect of a series of cause. We are bound by time, space, and matter. Next. According to Spinoza, free will is an illusion from the ignorance of causality. And to add, free will prevents us from getting knowledge of the causes. Next. So, it is not on the idea of free will that I woke up this morning. It is not on the idea of free will that to have this reporting nor to reply the message of my crush, for example. Because everything that I do or what I have done is determined. Like that I would wake up, that we would choose blueberry cheesecake rather than red velvet, which lead to what we called determinism. Determinism in philosophy is the theory that all events, including moral choices, are completely determined by previously existing causes. That is, if I do this action or not, it is already determined because, as what Spinoza's idea would say, we are under the principle of causality. So you see, there is no free will. All is determined because we are under the principle of causality. Next. Let us not think of this idea as the puppet being controlled by a puppeteer, but instead, we are more of a concept of series of endless dominoes. That's all.
So thank you guys. I think that's all that we have. We prepared and hope that you will learn something from us. Thank you guys for listening and hope for a good day. For ahead of day good. That's all. And again,
Thank you.